Egypt is one of the countries famous for its different types of folk dances. From east to west, north to south, we have many different types of folk dances reflecting Egyptians' lifestyle. But there was a question in my mind since long time. Do we have a comic folk dance or do we have a humor folk dance? I searched about the answer of these questions since long time until I found some points I love to share with you, of course. Some of these points associated with the politic, which I don't like to speak about politic, of course, or it is not my way. I'm looking for dancing most of the time. But I found some nice points I love to share with you. Before I start to explain the information, I would like to show you the Egyptian map to understand exactly what I will talk about. The Egyptians live on the both side banks of the Nile River since long time. The rest of Egypt is full of sands, desert, as you know, which have Bedouin tribes live in too. The North Egyptians, we call them farmers or fallahin, and the Upper Egyptians, we call them Saides. Both of them work in farm, so both of them, they are farmers, they are peasants. But don't ask me why we say farmers for the northern Egyptians and not to the upper Egyptians. Each one of them have their own type of folk dances, which most of these folk dances, you know them right well. But this is exactly Egypt, and this is exactly the way the Egyptians live in. There were a lot of foreign families settled in Egypt long ago. Maybe this affected the Egyptian mentality to be much more serious in Upper Egypt than in North. For this reason, you can find the Upper Egyptians, they love very much dancing with the stick than the North Egyptians, who they are famous for humor, kinetic performance. We love jokes very much, and most of the time we say jokes. We love to imitate each other by jokes, and sometimes we say some jokes onto each other, and all of us, we laugh. The joke, if I say it today, you will laugh, but tomorrow maybe you will listen to it and smile, but after tomorrow you will listen and do nothing. This is the word, this is the jokes in words, but in kinetic performance can be a little bit different. I do or I imitate someone by kinetic performance, by movements, and people will laugh. Maybe tomorrow I will do it once more again, also the same, people will laugh, and so on and so on. So the kinetic performance stay for good, but the word for a short time and then finish. This is the difference between both. Do we have something like that in our folk dances or our way of life, style of life, Egyptian style of life? This is the question what I was looking for, or I was starting to search about it in the way of folk dances in Egypt. I started from ancient Egyptian time, which is very old throughout the history. The first thing I found was exactly the Pornographic magazine, which it is ancient Egyptian. They painted since long time. You can find it exactly in Italy, and it is a very comic magazine talking about this type of art. That is, let me understood that the Egyptians love very much jokes since long time, not only these days or nowadays, and was very wonderful when you know exactly that the Egyptians love laughing jokes all the time through their life. Throughout the history, I found the Egyptians love very much to use humor against role of the state, but the kinetic performance much more than the words. Of course, both of them, they used both of them, but kinetic performance much more. For this reason, a lot of foreigners, when they came to Egypt, sometimes they disliked the Egyptians because All the time we do or we say humor onto them. We imitating them in a very strange way. So for this reason, they dislike us most of the time, which made a lot of problems for the Egyptians throughout the history. You can see this, or you can find all of these through the Islamic era, yes, also when a lot of Muslims they came to Egypt long ago, and we started to imitate them in this way, just to say that we dislike this or we like this. Not only Muslims or Muslim era, but also in a Coptic era, and of course also in ancient Egyptians' time. So this is Egypt, and this is the Egyptian, which we are famous for this humor way of lifestyle. Was very strange for me when I read in the Napoleonic era, the French scholars discovered the mime and the pantomime in France. We have a lot of evidence about ancient Egyptians used it through their lifestyle long ago against role of the state, yes, also, and throughout the history in Egypt. This phenomenon is much more common in North Egypt than in Upper Egypt. I think because of the agriculture, a green area around people all over there. Also in Upper Egypt, by the way, but the main point is the geographical area and the climate. When we look at the climate in North Egypt, we will find it is much more good for people to live. In Upper Egypt, it's much more hot. So for this reason, people are much more serious than in North Egypt. So the agriculture plus the weather helped us to have this type of phenomenon. We love very much to imitate our artists. For example, after the dancer, oriental dancer, finished her dance or went to change her costumes, immediately you can find someone jumped on the stage, start to imitate her, but in a very comic way to let the audience laugh very much. This way, we have it also not only with the dancers, but with many different types of arts all over Egypt. Yes, also, but it is much more common in North Egypt than in Upper Egypt, as I told you. Also, women all over Egypt love very much to imitate their men. Upper Egypt or North Egypt, but in Upper Egypt with only the society of women together, but in North Egypt you can find it, they can do it in front of men or women, no problem in this. So this is the way, yes, also in Egypt with women, who they love very much to imitate their men. But most of the time, women in northern Egypt, they love very much to imitate their men in a very comic way. And vice versa, in Upper Egypt, much more serious. So for this reason, women, most of the time, they love very much to dance with the stick in Upper Egypt, much more in northern Egypt. The stick, you can find it exactly also in North Egypt, but in some parts or some types of dance, such as awalim dance or gawazi, yes, also in northern Egypt, and baladi dance, yes, also. I didn't find comic or humor dance in folk Egypt, but in theatrical folk dance, when Mahmoud Reda created his wonderful farmer dance on the stage. There are no evidence about someone else or another group before Reda group dance created something like that. The first one was Reda dance group, which rejected later from the left people in the government in Egypt. For this reason, one of the main points which led them created another type of group dancers, or let me say Qawmiya troupe, to be much more serious, because Egypt in this time long ago was under the communists. So they changed a little bit the way of dancing on the stage to be same as they think. The left side, or the left people, they were against any comedy more comedy way of dancing. For this reason, yes, also they changed the way of the people to think same as them. So this is exactly what had happened in Egypt. Of course, later Mahmoud Reda created another type of dance, farmer dance, and started to change it a little bit, but was with this way of comedy, which we love it very much. Until now, we still love very much, or we love very much to watch it more and more again. Even he changed it for the third time or fourth time. And later, people in Egypt thought that this is the way of the farmer dance in North Egypt, which is completely different. In North Egypt is much more, or let me say the folk dance in North Egypt, much more ballady dance. And dancers, either men or women, they love to do it as it is like that, but not in a comic way. Sometimes they love very much to imitate each other over there by this way, but it is not exactly the same as Mahmoud Reda created. The conclusion now is the step can stay for good, and we laugh on it every time we watch it because it is imitating the one who we think or we believe, or sometimes we imagine he do it as it is, like that. But the word, of course, stay for good, yes, also, but we cannot laugh on it every time when we hear it. This is exactly the difference between both the kinetic performance in a humor way and the word in a funny way. This was my video for today, which I hope you like it, and of course I hope you understand now there is no a humor folk dance as the meaning of this word, but it is something looks like steps we using them through our dancing or through our performance on the stage. Thank you very much, and of course I love very much to receive your opinion and your comments about this video. Thank you very much, and see you again in the next video.